My nation cannot remain indifferent in view of such violent and aggressive seizure of a portion of its territory by a nation which has arrogated to itself the title, Champion of Oppressed Nations. General Emilio Aguinaldo, 1898.
The United States of America was becoming a powerful nation from conquering lands next to them. But why did the Americans still want to conquer other territories that were beyond their capability to control? A British loyalist once said, "Which is better, to be ruled by one tyrant 3,000 miles away, or by 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?" After the Spanish-American War occurred and the Treaty of Paris was held, the United States decided to go to war with the Philippines and decided to conquer the small country, which led to the Philippine-American War, or known as the Philippine Insurrection. Ferdinand Magellan was famous for circumnavigating the globe, and because of his achievements he connected the Americas, Europe, and Asia. Magellan also claimed territories for Spain, such as the Philippines. As a result, Spain ruled the Philippines for more than 300 years, until the Spanish-American War. Since the beginning of Magellan capturing the Philippines, the Filipinos always wanted their own independence, and a leader named Andres Beneficio soon led the Philippine Revolution to defeat Spain. However, Beneficio's plan failed, and the leadership of the Philippine Revolution changed to a young general named Emilio Aguinaldo. The army of Aguinaldo kept on being pushed back into the mountains southeast of Manila, and the Philippine Revolution temporarily ended with the Pact of Bac-Nao-Bato. Soon after the Spanish-American War started due to the Cuban conflict, it soon ended after 4 months of fighting, and the Philippines declared their first Philippine Republic on June 12, 1898. The Cuban conflict of gaining independence from Spain resulted to the Spanish-American War. The Philippines compromised with the United States in the Spanish-American War, hoping to gain freedom and independence. Instead, it soon led to the Philippine Insurrection, which started in the year of 1899. In the end, the Philippine Insurrection was compromised by being granted independence by the United States on July 4, 1946.
On February 9, 1898, the infamous De Lomi letter was published by the New York Journal under the headline as the worst insult to the U.S. in its history. In this disgraceful letter, the Spanish minister, Enrique Dupe de Lome, described President McKinley as a weak man and a bidder for the admiration of the crowd. 6 days later, on February 15, 1898, the USS Maine exploded while traveling to Cuba to protect their business from Spain. The United States watched Cuba struggling with Spain with great interest and remembered their times when struggling with Britain. After the explosion of the USS Maine and the illusory truth effect of newspapers mainly coming from the New York journalism and the New York World called yellow journalism, made the war seem inevitable with Spain, and so the declaration of war was approved by Congress, given by President McKinley on April 25, 1898.
However, little did the United States know that the explosion of the USS Maine wasn't caused by Spain, but by a coal bunker fire, which was later discovered by the History Channel in 2002. The United States won many of their battles against Spain, including the Battle of San Juan Hill that took place on July 1, 1898, but they also had help from the Philippines that was commanded by General Emilio Aguinaldo. Emilio Aguinaldo, or also known as General Mong, was born on March 22nd or the 23rd in the year of 1869 and was greatly known for gaining independence from Spain and the United States and forming the first Philippine Republic. However, after the hard work of General Emilio Aguinaldo, he later died on February 6, 1964. The peace conference between Spain and the United States ending the Spanish-American War started on October 1, 1898 in Paris, but the Treaty of Paris was later signed on December 10, 1898.
Due to the Treaty of Paris, Cuba gained independence and the U.S. officially took control of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines for $20 million.
To celebrate independence from Spain, General Emilio Aguinaldo, who had cooperated with the United States in the Spanish-American War in Manila Bay, announced Philippine independence, which soon established the Philippine Republic on June 12, 1898. Before the Treaty of Paris was signed, an anti-imperialist league was established on June 15, 1898 to battle the American annexation from the Philippines. Most of the members from the Anti-Imperialist League were democratic and believed in a limited government, a gold standard, and free trade. They also worried that the United States would add other territories and the influx of people that were not American would flood the U.S. A famous defender named Mark Twain that defended his views to help the Philippines stated the following: "I have read carefully the Treaty of Paris, and I have seen that we do not intend to free, but to subjugate the people of the Philippines. We have gone there to conquer, not to redeem. It should, it seems to me, be our pleasure and duty to make those people free, and let them deal with their own domestic questions in their own way. And so I am an anti-imperialist. I am opposed to having the eagle put its talons on any other land." However, In the end, the anti-imperialist league started to fade away since the signing of the Treaty of Paris.
The first attack that caused the fighting of the Philippine Insurrection was when an American patrol shot a Filipino guerrilla on a bridge at San Juan on February 4, 1899. As a result, fighting broke out and the Filipino fighters tried to resist bravely, but the Americans pressed on. This was the first phase of the war where the Philippines and the United States did direct attacks, but this only lasted until November 1899.
Because of General Emilio Aguinaldo's failed attempts in order to receive independence from the United States, he decided to change to guerrilla-style warfare, which was the second phase of war that lasted until the capture of Emilio Aguinaldo.
After the second phase of the war ended, the guerrilla warfare tactics still continued in the Philippines by the Muslim Moros and other Filipinos, but the American civil government treated them like mere bandits.
After the capture of General Emilio Aguinaldo in Palanan and Isabela province in 1902, he accepted alliance to the United States. While fighting still continued in the Philippines, the first organic act called the Philippine Bill of 1902 was passed by Congress. The Philippine Bill managed the Philippine affairs and the restoration of peace by establishing the first elective Philippine Assembly and the Taft Commission that comprised the lower and upper house of the Philippine legislature. The Philippine-American War ended on July 2, 1902, resulting in the death of more than 4,200 U.S. soldiers, about 20,000 Filipino soldiers, and more than 200,000 Filipino civilians. When the United States was about to give independence to the Philippines, the Japanese soldiers surprised the Philippines by attacking the Philippines and invading the Philippines on December 8, 1941, which was 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor on the United States. This resulted to the Japanese conquering the Commonwealth of the Philippines between 1942 and 1945. The turning point for the Philippines with the help of the United States was on December 8, 1944, when two sides clashed fiercely together until the Japanese finally surrendered on February 23, 1945, and general freedom was proclaimed from the Japanese on July 4, 1945. The Philippine Insurrection stands as a remembrance of how there were many conflicts along the way, while those conflicts of wars were being compromised because of the perseverance and hard work of the Philippines, concluding to the official independence to the Republic of the Philippines as a country on July 4, 1946. Through the brave actions of the Philippines during the numerous wars and more than 1 million casualties along the way, the Republic of the Philippines showed the world that they could also be an independent country. Because of the Philippine-American War, the Philippines achieved what they wanted, which changed the course of history by impacting the people of the Philippines. According to Dr. Enrique de la Cruz, he says,
Okay, so sa Pilipinas, when you talk about this in the traditional way, no? When the Americans came over at the turn of the century, no, 1898, and then they finally annexed the Philippines. Okay, in the end, they took away choices from us, from the Filipinos. Schools, what do you learn? What books do you read? The medium of instruction.
All English, all American.
All American. Okay. And that's part of the process of the Americanization of the Filipino. So in that sense, imperialism yun, and neocolonialism yun. No?
So it's calling it out and saying, oh,
Right.
totoo.
Right, totoo. But on the other hand, just like a lot of the Filipinos now, ano yung utang na loob natin sa Espanyol? Our Catholic faith, so mahirap na ganun lahat na negative. No? Mayroon din siguro mga positive na yan.
Okay,
no?
so we need to look
And
at
so
the
we need to look
positive
at that.
side. Okay.
Similarly, Professor Carroll from California State University of Fullerton believes,
And I started by saying na I don't perceive it necessarily as negative, pero when we start talking about neocolonialism and imperialism and Americanization of the Filipinos in the Philippines, the Americans came and established public education. That's how they captured our minds. That's why when we say colonial mentality, it's because of public education. When everything that the Spaniards didn't do during their colonization of the Philippines, only the Filipinos, technically Filipinos were Spaniards who were born in the Philippines, but the natives were not given that public education. Pero the Americans, that's what they did. So they captured our minds.
Right.
Kaya Americanized tayo from the get-go.
even though the Philippines faced several damages and debts from the several conflicts of war, they kept on compromising through wars and treaties to help achieve their main goal for their future generations, which was to gain their own independence and stand out as a peaceful and free nation.